Hey folks, David Stewart here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Let's talk about AI, some AI news, because I have seen the first shuttering of what I would consider a big AI model get announced today. That is Sora, which is a video creation model that is put out by OpenAI. Now, they announced, and I'll have to be kind of vague as I'm talking about this, they announced that they were going to be stopping Sora. Then they revised that tweet so they were going to say goodbye to the Sora app. So it's not completely clear whether they're completely discontinuing the Sora model or they're just getting rid of the app that people were using to make those little, watermarked videos that everyone was posting on social media, the classic AI slop videos. So if you've seen the cats playing the instruments on the porch and the lady yelling at them, if you've seen the cats attacking bears that walk on the porch, if you've seen people getting blown up by packages that had dynamite in them, like from a Ring video camera, that's almost always a Sora video. It's probably the video that I could think of that's most associated with what we think of as AI slop, like these just little short, nothing videos that are supposed to be funny and use up precious electricity and data centers to make something that's completely disposable. But Sora has been used to do some bigger projects. So if you are aware of what the Will Stansel show is, that's created using AI, and Sora is the main animation model that the creator of the Will Stansel show uses in order to produce that. There are, believe it or not, people out there trying to use especially video creation models to do some pretty interesting and creative work, things that I really haven't seen before and things that actually couldn't be done unless you had a exponentially larger budget in order to do it, and probably would never be able to be made at all because the budget would just make it prohibitive. You couldn't do the Will Stansel show if it was going to cost like any large amount of money to do it. So why is Sora shutting down? We don't know yet. I got kind of a vague post from Sam Altman today about some reorganization in OpenAI, and I will show that to you in just a second here because I think it's just interesting. So first of all, here's the Sora announcement. The original one, we're saying goodbye to Sora, to everyone who created with Sora, shared it, built a community around it. Thank you. What you made with Sora mattered, and we know this news is disappointing. We'll share more soon, including timelines for the app and API and details on preserving your work, the Sora team. So change to the Sora app. So they may just be getting rid of the app, and you'll be able to keep your work. This is the creator of the Will Stansel show that uses the Sora the Sora model, but doesn't use it through the app to produce the Will Stansel show, basically saying, you could produce it with other things, but it was really good for that particular application. Different AIs were able to do that. Sam Altman basically said AI will help discover new science, such as cures for diseases, which is perhaps the most important way to increase quality of life long term. And then he talks about a bunch of safety issues with AI and is announcing a AI resilience head. And that's an interesting idea. One of the things that I have gotten from Sam Altman with over and over again, every time I see him interviewed or I see him talking, he's talking like AI is going to be Skynet, right? Like we need to be terrified of the AI Skynet because we got to spend $1 billion to make sure AI is safe. And I think all of these announcements just really play into not just into people's fears, but they hype up the power of what these products are. When I think what we may be seeing from OpenAI, which is not really very open, is a reorganization to change the product so it's geared more towards, corporate clients. I can't find it, but I did see somebody mention that the total amount of revenue that the Sora app generated was $1.4 million. Now that sounds like a lot if you don't have any money as an individual, but $1.4 million when you've spent tens of billions to develop the technology is a huge loss. So it could be that model is just not, maybe it won't be further developed. Maybe it'll get kind of buried. Maybe it'll get phased out. Maybe it'll go away because they just can't make money on it. And especially if they have an app where people can just use free credits and do a couple videos and then that entertains them and then they're done. They're not really willing to pay any money to use it. that's it, right? It's just not valuable. And so this is the hard wall that I think AI has yet to answer. The entire AI industry thinks aspirationally and speaks aspirationally. That's what this safety thing from Sam Altman is about. Is like, it's going to be so powerful that we need to worry about it. And they have this mentality of, if you build it, they will come. This is not unprecedented, because the personal computer was a little bit of, if you build it, they will come. Like if we got people away from mainframe computers and gave them a computer at home, they'd be able to do amazing things with it. You're imagining what you can do with it, but it wasn't like there was a bunch of people going like, what we really need is for people to have computers in their homes. It was just an aspirational thought, like, could we bring this back? Can we shrink the computer down and make it a more transportable and something that someone could have at home, or an all-in-one in their office that would just take up desk space, an actual microcomputer. So the personal computer revolution happened because the geniuses behind it were thinking very aspirationally, including guys like Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. So these next group of tech bros are thinking very aspirationally about what AI could do. And AI can do some pretty interesting things. It can be used for a lot of different tasks that may have some benefit. I think they are thinking so aspirationally that maybe they're not seeing how the profit's going to happen right now. We're still in the end of this investment phase. I don't know when the bubble's going to pop, but there's probably going to be some kind of market correction when you realize most users are simply not going to pay for AI. They are not going to pay for AI to make AI for themselves, for their own entertainment, because there's many other ways that they could be entertained. And it's a toy that after you've made a couple of cats shooting bazookas at doors, you're kind of done with the silliness of that and you're ready to move on. It's sort of like generating images with Grok or whatever. My kids do it for fun. They think it's silly and fun to have like Grok draw like Jack Sparrow in a wedding dress or something, and it's just a funny distraction. But they don't do anything with that. Like, they're not producing any value for that. So anytime you have a product, you have to think it's going to either entertain you, like it's going to directly benefit the user, and that value's pretty low, I think, for AI, or it's going to at least right now, or it's going to be like a productivity multiplier. So like Photoshop. Photoshop allows you to be like hyper more productive than you would be without that program. So if the program is enhancing the value of your work, then it's worth buying. Does AI do that? I think the big consensus that I'm getting from you guys and from other people I pay attention to is that the answer is yes in the coding world. And the answer is not yet in almost everywhere else. And it's probably yes with something like book covers, because they don't matter that much, right? So it's yes in some areas, but it's basically like no to most things. The end user, the vast number of people that can like use the AI are not going to pay a whole lot of money for it, because their time to do the task may just not be as valuable as what they're getting out of the productivity multiplier of it. And I think for maybe the video creation side of it, what we could see pretty soon, and I'm not gonna like do a hard prediction on this, but it'll just be kind of revealed that it's not being used enough and not generating enough revenue to warrant a lot of development. People just aren't really willing to pay for it, and instead people are going to maybe use an alternative model like Cdance or something like that to produce video content or whatever they want. This may be good news though, right? Like if video creation has to become more expensive or some of it has to be shuttered, that's going to reduce our approach of the slop singularity. It's going to reduce our approach of like everything will be AI generated because it's so cheap to make AI things, because it may turn out that it's actually not as cheap as we think it is to make AI stuff. That may be what we're actually coming up against, is like the cost of compute doesn't justify what you're actually doing with it, and having to figure out how to monetize AI, it hasn't been completely figured out yet. So this may be just one more step in that process, and we still don't know where it's gonna end up landing. I think a lot of people in Hollywood like the idea of using AI, but they haven't haven't figured out how to do it in a way that's going to make them a ton of money yet. One thing I did think, somebody did point this out on Twitter, I don't remember who, it's like, Disney and some of these other companies were throwing money at AI. They were licensing their characters for OpenAI, and OpenAI is just going to kind of shutter that app because maybe Disney had this idea like, well, users are just going to generate free content for us. This will be great. And then if OpenAI discontinues the product, it's like, we gave you a bunch of money and we gave you permission to use a bunch of things, and you're just not going to do anything with that. A lot of people have been coming down on OpenAI for not following through with its promises to investors and its promises of being open, being more open than what it is, at least. Anyway, I would love your thoughts on this. Leave them down below. I'll check you all next time. Have a great day.